Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Overthink Final Fantasy X. I'm Beth of Fake Geek Girls Game. As you probably recall, in our last episode we arrived at Kilika, recently devastated by Sin, saw Yuna perform her first sending, and now we're en route to Kilika Temple.
What's up?
Yuna's saying she wants you with us.
Huh?
I want to ask you to be my guardian.
Waka, remember
Yuna,
when
what? There's no time for jokes,
you said that her coming on to me wasn't gonna happen?
Whiz kid, but up against fiends.
I kinda wish I'd asked you to put money on it.
Not a guardian then. I just want him nearby.
Because he knows that
What?
she just doesn't know. That she's just said that she wants him around for the rest of her life, which admittedly will only be a couple months, but
anyway. Can't this wait till later? I'm sorry. I shouldn't have.
There's nothing to be sorry about. I'm just not really sure what's going on.
My apologies.
Poor girl. No, see, he's not shutting you down. He just does not have a clue, and he's not that quick on the uptake, Mr. Popular Blitzball Star. So, here we are in Kilika Woods. There's a little thing here, or there's a fight. There can be both. Because we have a new party member, so new tutorial.
Kimari, why don't you use lance?
I'm actually pretty keen on the embedded tutorials, especially since they're pretty quick.
It's a skill that weakens enemies and heals the user. But when a Ronso uses it, that Ronso can sometimes learn beings'
Wee
abilities.
Blue Mage.
Hey, sounds cool.
Unfortunately, he only uses it to learn overdrive. It's not like you can use Seed Cannon the rest of the time. But it can come in pretty handy. And wallop that, get that taken care of. So here is just a series of letters, which if you recall back on Besaid, there was a similar little medallion saying Kilika and Beaconel join as one. So if you take these letters and the ones that you can find later on Beaconel Island and combine them, it'll give you a password that you need to get a certain pretty nice piece of weapon or armor. It's not anything special, but I'll get it eventually.
The fiend before us is Ochu, Lord of the Wood. We've had trouble with this one before. Remember, discretion is the better part of valor.
Luzu, indiscretion is the better part of leveling up. So you can walk past him either by only tilting the controller a little bit, or what I was really glad to discover, hold down circle and you'll walk no matter what you do. But let's face it, that's not nearly as much fun. Instead, you wake up the giant pitcher plant. And just start doing one thing or another. Lulu is pretty key for this fight, as she's key for a lot of forthcoming fights early on, because her fire does significantly more damage to this than anything else I can put forward, except maybe an overdrive, but you can't really produce those to order. So you end up having her out the entire time, which is kind of nerve-wracking because she is also incredibly squishy. As you can see, just that one attack took her way down. On the bright side, she's also the best dodger in the group, so she's least likely to get hit with that nasty poison attack. Poison in this game is brutal. It'll take you from full health to dead in like 3 or 4 times. When Lulu learns poison later on, it's incredible how useful it is, how you can have her doing capped damage because she just inflicts poison and it does like a quarter to a fifth of their max HP. And then after you've gone a little bit, Ochu falls asleep, which you'd think would be good because he's not hitting you, but on the other hand, he's regenerating hit points faster than you can possibly do damage. He's doing like 300 every time you do a turn. Yeah, you can't really have somebody out there who has poison on, but gotta wake him up, and then he does this, and we all hate when he does hit all attacks, but at least Lulu's good at dodging. So Yuna, please come in here and make sure the black mage doesn't die. And just gotta keep whittling away at him, and see, he's got his overdrive charged up. Among the things I can't wait for is when we get different ways of charging up our overdrive. Also, when I get better at getting the bloody thing on the first try. I swear I'm usually better than this. It's like performance anxiety issues. Happens to everyone, I'm told. Lulu and the Lulettes continue. Just keep hacking away at him. See, Waka has hit points to spare. And since Lulu is doing, as you saw, 2 to 3 times as much in damage as everybody else, there's really no use for her doing anything other than that. Can always use the unit to come in and cure things. And there he goes. Lots of AP, an HP sphere, and a weapon for Lulu.
A summoner and her guardians. Very
Apparently
impressive.
only summoners and guardians get to level
We'll
up.
get our chance soon enough.
Young crusaders gather around.
Nice world building detail, giving Gato a little cadence to sing. We
Do
can
your
go
best,
chat
kid.
to them.
Waka's counting on you.
Well, if you give me an elixir, I'll be sure not to betray Waka's faith in me.
Hey, after the tournament, you should join the Crusaders.
And I'm going to go pick up treasure chests and wander around this area for a bit. Show you the kind of monsters we've got in this region. Mostly there's one type of bug, one type of elemental, one type of lizard,
Anyone thirsty?
and the plant monsters that you already saw. Not super exciting. I've also decided to try out for this one showing you all the battles that I get into, but cutting out any time that I'm in the menu, because I'm in the menu a lot and it's really not all that entertaining. So we'll try this one time, see how it goes. You can let me know if you think this is too much of just me talking over random battles, or if
Aid
you,
us.
heaven forfend, want to see what I'm doing in the menu. You don't want to see what I'm doing in the menu. It's really boring and a lot of messing with the team formation, because I have a tendency that I recognize and control to let some people fall behind others in terms of their leveling, which can be a big problem later on, especially since the two people most likely to fall behind are Lulu and Yuna, because they're squishy. And in Yuna's case particularly, if you were fighting a lot of battles and not needing to heal in the middle of them, if you don't put her in, she may not
Focus on the fight.
have anything to do.
Newbie here.
Sorry.
I love the in-battle dialogue, especially early on when it's actually related to what's going on. I guess it happens somewhat as you go on as well. A little mad about Waka calling him a newbie.
Let them come.
So Yuna, if you're not careful, can really run out of
Now what?
levels, which is bad because as you get further in, suddenly you really need her to heal, and in boss fights in particular, all her buffs are really important, but if she's made of paper, that's a problem. Lulu, similarly, because she's so fragile, tends to not get used just because I don't want her to die, especially when it's not against a monster that's resistant to physical attacks. So she can end up falling behind and then not be as useful, so then you don't use her as much, so then she's not as useful. So it's something I try really hard to keep control over, and I do that by manipulating who's in the active party so that everybody gains levels more or less evenly. So that's what I'm doing behind the scenes, but since that involves a lot of me popping the menu open, fiddling with a couple things, and closing it again, I'm going to spare you that lovely experience. Instead, you get to look at Kilika Jungle. Ooh, a Lux Sphere. Actually, Lux Spheres are always really annoying to me, because I get so many more Lux Spheres than Fortune Spheres. And the Lux Sphere puts down a luck boost node on the sphere grid, but Lux Spheres can only be activated by Fortune Spheres, which are really rare and hard to come by until, very late in the game. So I'm sitting here going, oh great, I have a Lux Sphere, but I can't actually use it. It's not the worst, it beats having nothing at all. And you can probably use it for an ability of some kind. I don't remember which, when you get weapon and armor customization. But it's still kind of... I don't not want this, I want the other thing that goes with it as well. Alright. I'm not gonna do much level grinding in this area because something I always run into in the early game here is running out of ability spheres. If you weren't paying attention, or if you weren't already familiar with the sphere grid system, since I skipped it,
You'd best stop that. Waka's in charge of flyers.
I
remember?
need different kinds of spheres to activate different kinds of stat boosts when characters are leveling. So the ability sphere is what you need for learning anything. The trouble with running low on them is then my characters can't actually learn new abilities and they end up kind of stuck.
I'm here.
So I end up not actually being able to level, especially since I want things to level evenly.
See ya.
But just in general, everyone will come up to a point where they really want this ability,
You're not too bad.
but
You ain't seen nothing yet.
they don't have the sphere to activate it. So I end up trying to avoid leveling too much until I get to an area in a bit where I can actually farm for some ability spheres to catch up. So I'm just gonna kind of wander once around here so you can see everything before I proceed upwards. So while this is happening, let's talk about dramatic irony, because this is Kilika is where we first start to get the fun game of everybody knows something that Tidus doesn't know. I mean, really, everybody knows a lot of things that Tidus doesn't know, but in this case, both his conversation last time with Lulu at Descending, where Lulu sounded all ominous. You know, so cute when she tries to hit things physically. And here when Eunice wants to ask him to be her guardian, and everyone treats this like an extremely serious thing and Tidus doesn't quite get it. So everybody clearly is working on kind of a different wavelength to Tidus, and as much as he's aware that there's something that he's not being told, he's also not sure what it is. And when everything else is so confusing, I expect he's worried that he's just making it up.
Sit back and watch. Yeah.
But from the point of view of people who played the game and do know, it's kind of this awful, oh no, look at them. Look at them.
Leave that one to Luke. Yeah.
And you can really see how
Man, blows can't
emotional everyone is about Yuna's pilgrimage and why everybody seems so unenthused. Like, you're going to go save the world. Isn't that a great thing? Shouldn't we be like, yes, let's go, let's do it? Well, not quite. Not when it's your surrogate little sisters. Oh, I didn't take that out. Okay. Guys, welcome to the sphere grid. I'm not sure what's doing in here. Other than you can see me leveling things. But, so you've got... Everybody knows something Tidus doesn't know, and Tidus doesn't even know what it is that he doesn't know. Or what's going on. He's so out of his depth he can't really tell for sure. And it doesn't help that, particularly in this early game, there's so much extra stuff going on, because there's the whole, like, Blitz tournament subplot, plus trying to get acclimated to this completely different location. Things are a little weird. And he's not really sure which things are just weird to him. We saw him talking with Waka last time about, you know, should we really be having a sports competition after this disaster has just happened? And Waka thinks it weird that you wouldn't. You know, of course you have a sports tournament now. There's no other time to have it than after a disaster, because there's always a disaster. So, you know, is it just the difference of people living in a world where you tend to die a lot, or something else? You don't know. Part of the way I level is that not infrequently you end up trying to defeat things with weapons and characters that you're really not supposed to be using because they are not at all optimal. But usually you can muddle through. Honestly, if you have a reasonable healer, you can always muddle through. Just keep whacking on whatever it is until it dies. So having wandered around there, you know, it seems like people use Kilika Temple a lot. So why aren't the roads to and from it in a little better repair?
Yep. Lord O'Holland trained here at his peak.
Although I guess, you know, that's a long way up the mountain. And we're going to do stairs! Good for cardio,
race, huh?
I think. I don't know, I'm not a sport exercise person. I'm a playing video games for hours person.
Yuna, if you would.
Ready?
Hey!
Ah, huh?
You don't think Yuna has a sense of humor, you aren't paying attention.
Kids.
For that matter, Lulu has a sense of humor. She thinks they're being silly and it's amusing. But, of course, you can never have any fun.
Everyone,
Fun is not allowed in Spira. It is forbidden. Especially the protagonist is never allowed to have any fun. When you're having fun, that means something is about to happen that you will not like at all. Like a boss fight. So this guy, you've got the big round thing and the two tentacle fellows. That guy is in its shell and is pretty much invulnerable to hits, but it's weak to magic. But the tentacle things will absorb any magic you direct at the main body, so you have to take those out first before you can really start working on the boss proper. And Valifor, not going to use for this fight. Especially because I forgot to charge up the overdrive gauge. Valifor's overdrive can be a hilarious way to just blast through early bosses. These are not so much of a problem, you just have to get rid of them. So one thing I really do like about this game is that it provides a reasonable explanation for why these things keep showing up with the whole sin spawn relationship. Like, yes, you have found the plot. There are monsters where the plot is. I hate when it changes the camera direction when I'm trying to target a spell, because then it's like, no, a minute ago left went to that person and now it goes to the other person. Now it's time to bring Lulu out and Kamari, because his weapon is piercing, and get them to crack its shell. As that you see right here. On the bright side, that means it is now significantly more murderable. On the less bright side, it can start doing unpleasant and unfriendly attacks. Again, Lulu's going to be doing a lot of heavy carrying. And poison, everybody's favorite thing. Now you can see how bad poison is. He's got almost 400, and it just took him down to under 200. So more than half of the hit points that he had showing. Just gone. Poof. Which is why I keep Yuna out of the battle as much as possible until it's time to bring her in. Because when somebody's poisoned, you don't want to have to wait around. Also, it makes it less likely that she will die, thus leaving me healerless. Well, let's bring in Waka to finish this guy off. Clobber, clobber. None of their attacks are super deadly at this point. Especially, other than underestimating poison, you're not in any danger here, I think. Particularly once you've gotten rid of the extra tentacles, so it's down to there only being one enemy on the field. Have Yuna peel off things as fast as he puts them on, and you're in good shape. Yeah, you did it. The sports team was not playing.
Sorry about that. Hope to break you
Despite
in a
the
little
fact that
slower.
they can get from place to place in this world.
Being a guardian's tiring.
You handle yourself pretty well. You got talent.
Nah.
Aw, shucks.
So, what are these sin spawn anyway?
fiends, they fall from Sin's body and are left behind.
Thank
in
you,
its wake.
Exposition Fairy
Leave
Lulu.
him alone and Sin comes back for him. You gotta be quick.
That moment when Waka told
Gotta
me
take
I
out
had
the
talent
bosses
in
because
battle,
if you leave them
I think
around, not
that
only
was
will
when I
they, ravage the
seriously
countryside,
considering becoming a
but Sin will
guardian.
show up again to see what all the fuss is about. You don't like that. Sin showing up is pretty much the worst case scenario for everything. And they're gonna have to repair that bit of the temple floor as it is. Which will not be a priority considering that there's the entire village to repair.
So, they got fiends in Xanarkand too.
Just a few. It's a big deal when one shows
Wait
up,
a
though.
minute.
Hey, since when have you believed me about Xanarkand anyway?
I've been thinking. Maybe people Sin gets to don't die. Maybe Sin carries them through time. Like 1,000 years through time. And then one day, maybe they just pop back, see?
Waka.
Amazing. Simply amazing. You make up one theory after another, refusing to face the simple truth. Sin didn't take Chapu anywhere. Sin crushed him and left him on the Jose shore. Your brother won't just pop
Oh dear,
back.
Mom and Dad are fighting.
Oh, and one more thing. No matter how much you want it, no one can take Chapu's place. No one can replace Sir Jekt, for that matter. And there's no replacement for Lord Braska, either. It's pointless to think about it. And sad.
You know she adds those last bits to pretend that this isn't completely about
I could never be what Chapu was.
this very important dead guy.
Well, stuff happens. Best not to worry.
And you wonder why Waka and Lulu are
and Waka's
loggerheads so
brother,
much,
Chapu.
because
Something had happened between them a long time ago. I was
Waka
sure.
is
Well, whatever it was none of my business.
coping
that's for
mechanism
sure.
is to
Best not to go there.
act this kind of denial / avoidance / focusing on the happy things. Lulu's not so much. It's awkward when they're both mourning the same person. As little as Titus wants to go there, I have to warn you, we're gonna end up going there. It's just mandatory. Mandatory arriving at that location. Speaking of locations, we have arrived at Kilika Temple. Oh look, there's these assholes. Hello, assholes. What are you up to? See, even if I didn't know, I could tell they're assholes because they had music start up.
You here to pray for victory too?
Us? Pray? Who needs to pray? The Luca goers always win.
I don't
Oh,
know
yeah?
what a
Then why are you
goer
here?
is.
We've been praying
It
for some
bugs
competition
me.
this year. So what's your goal this time?
I mean, I guess they have to be extra arrogant and obnoxious to cover up the shame of
Too
being
bad
named
your
the
best
Luca
isn't good enough.
goers.
Why even bother showing up?
This time, we play to win.
Also, yes, I will
Ooh,
be
play
refreshing
away.
as
Just
many
remember,
times as
even
it
kids
takes
can play, boys.
for me to clobber
See you in the
those
finals.
guys, because they are assholes.
We'll beat them.
My
We
thoughts
have to.
exactly.
You know that team?
Putting people down. They're as bad as my old man.
Ooh.
But Sir Jekt was a kind
Oh,
and gentle man.
Yuna
Well, not
no.
my Jekt. Even 10 years after he left. Just thinking about my old man got me angry. But maybe that was just my way of keeping him... Nah.
Yeah, awkward. That awkward moment when, the person who, let's say, abused you is not considered to be a bad guy by everybody else in apparently 2 worlds. It's like, oh yeah, that Jekt, what a great guy. Oh yeah, Sir Jekt, what a nice man. Ha 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 ha. Awkward. And admittedly, in the case of Spira, a lot of it is extremely rose-colored after-the-fact glasses, but I don't think that really helps for where Tidus is emotionally. Like, oh god, can't get away from my dad and from people who think he's just great no matter where I go. Dad who's always like, yeah, you suck. On that cheerful note, that's all for now, so I'll see you next time for more overthinking.